Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to an exciting match. We're going to have the finals of the KAGI League, which is Keyforge as Garfield intended, which by what they mean is adaptive best of three. So it's going to be exciting. Um, we are about to get started, but before we do, let's take a look at their decks. So we just got decks from Quickdraw and Ashitaka. The final is Quickdraw versus Ashitaka. Quickdraw coming from Pittsburgh, and he's going to be running Guadalupe, the periodically spiky, a DT deck. Quickdraw mentioned that they love DT, so their familiarity with DT, Dark Tidings, might give them an edge here. Let's see what it has. It's very fast. 18 printed ember, 31 expected ember. Lots of ways to manipulate and use the tide, which would be critical if it's versus a non-DT deck. So we'll have to see about that. It's got Chelonia, Double Deep Water Gruin, Witch of the Dawn to bring some of that back, Thin the Herd to potentially bring some of that back. Some of the unique cards, the Ulfbert device. Player cannot choose the same active house as they chose on their previous turn. So if you know how to use that well and know how to keep going house to house, that's an advantage. And there's a decent amount of speed here with the two eddies, the theory and conjecture, hydro cataloger, and it has a sneaky key cheat with data forge, and if you can set that up with final analysis, that could be pretty good. We're going to load into the game here before we get to Ashitaka's deck. Make sure we don't miss anything. They are in. Well, they're getting started. We'll quickly go over Ashitaka's deck. It's Boss R, Eric's daughter. The other thing I forgot to mention, for Ember Control, Submersive Principle, Two Eddies, Volmart, Mookleen, Xeno Training for Quickdraw's deck. We're making sure the streamers are ready. Good when you are. They also have a French stream. So, if you would prefer to watch a French stream, I'm going to put a link out there for you because I will not be speaking any French here. And they might know what they're doing more than I am. Actually, they definitely are. There's a link to the French stream. Now, I did have a warning. I might be dropping some frames. If so, I apologize. Been having some network issues recently. I hope it looks okay. Let's quickly take a look. They're getting started. The tide comes down. Let's quickly take a look at Ashitaka's deck, coming from right outside of Paris, France. They have an AOA deck, super fast, 19 printed ember, 14 speed. Look at this logos, triple wild wormhole, double ZYX researcher. You have the ZYX package here. They also have a tricky key cheat with redacted. They have Oath of Poverty with 2 artifacts, and they have triple exhume, life ward. So very fast, very speedy, but only Cermero's Cutthroat Research and Tentacus for Ember Control. So this is going to be a really interesting match. And it looks like everybody is ready. So we're going to get started. No, sorry, JT. No French accent. Nothing at all. Plain Jane vanilla right here. But the Association of French Keyforge, they're an amazing organization. So if you do speak French, go check out their stream. They do a lot. They do a lot of cool tournaments in France. Um, yeah, support them. It's good to see Keyforge thriving around the world. Okay, so we see that Ashitaka won the flip, and it's its first player. It looks like they're checking out their starting hands, seeing they want a mulligan. Ashitaka comes out with ZYX Researcher to start it out and archives a card. So let's see. What would they want to be archiving here? What is longer term? I think this is just a go as fast as they can type of deck. It doesn't have much board control. It's play cards, play lots of cards, play them fast, and get lots of Ember. Quickdraw comes back quickly with Technobabble, Stun ZYX Researcher, then Volmart, Cheetah, and Shield You Later on top of Volmart, protecting Volmart a little bit. And then here comes back Logos for Ashitaka with Director of ZYX, Helperbot, Wild Wormhole played Smite, and they use Researcher to fight Volmart and get 2 damage on Cheetah with the Smite. And then they play Life Forward using the Helperbot. So some early positioning. Um, two Logos turns started out from Ashitaka and 5 Logos cards played. And then we'll see how Quickdraw finishes up or follows up their first turn. So, as I'd mentioned, KAGI started, and it's got the acronym Keyforge as Garfield intended, and it's got that because of one of Garfield's quotes. And it was, I often like picking a deck and trying to win with it, rather than picking a deck with the best chance of winning. So it's a neat idea, to have a best of 3 Archon League, and props to Fighting Walloon for being the tournament organizer. He started a league because he likes best of 3 adaptive, and really happy so far with the 3 seasons that they've had. So let's follow up quick here with Quickdraw. They've played Hydro Cataloger and Mecha Buoy, and then they did raise the tide, take 3 chains to raise the tide, archive a card with Hydro Cataloger, and now hoping to get some Mecha Buoy Ember there. We'll have to see if Ashitaka will play the tide game. But they came back with this. They play Misery Exploit, Hysteria, plays a Tentacus, and they use a Life Force. So no playing, and they kick back both they kick back the Volmart and the Cheetah to Quickdraw's hand. They can't play anything. While getting their Logos cards back too. The Helper Bot and the Director. So Ashitaka with a little bit of disruption there. It's always nice to have the Life Forward and the Hysteria combo. They don't have much other disruption. They have Creeping Oblivion, and the only disruption in Quickdraws is the Ulfbert device. So Quickdraw's going Star Alliance. They discard Cheetah, Technobabble the Stun Tentacus, Xeno Training for the Ember. So they're into check. Now, they're probably wondering, do they hold on the Valmart here? They do have a little bit more Ember control. We haven't really seen the Untamed suite yet from Quickdraw, and there's still a lot of pips coming in from Ashitaka. They haven't gone to Sanctum yet either, so they did have the one smite on the Wild Wormhole. They do decide to discard Walmart, and so let's see if they can get him off check. No, they can't. Helperbot, Director, Abon the Armorsmith. Quickdraw Forges, gets another Ember with Mechaboy, and on to Untamed, starting with Infighting, gets rid of the Helperbot. Thin the Herd, return all three of their cards back to their deck, and then here comes Chelonia and Witch of the Dawn. Brings back Walmart with Witch of the Dawn and Insurance. So now does Ashitaka have a way to respond to the Chelonia? They play the Oath of Poverty for no extra bonus. Shield of Justice, Lord Gogoltha, the Abond, and they do take chains to turn the tide to high. Ashitaka is definitely on the back foot here. Quickdraw could make a lot of Ember. With the Chelonia out, they already have just about a key advantage. Out comes the Biome Discovery. Gets the Raise the Tide for free, so that's always nice. Archives another card with Hydro Cataloger. Volmar comes down, gains an Ember. They're one Ember away from check again already. Stunner on Witch of the Dawn, and they're into check again. And we already know Ashitaka's deck does not have a lot of Ember control. They have Sir Arrows, Cutthroat Research, and Tentacus, so they can't stop them. So, initial thoughts, unless Ashitaka's deck gets really lucky on the draw, I'm guessing Quickdraw's deck is going to win both games. So it's going to get really interesting when it gets to the chain bidding. But it's Keyforge. You never know what happens. We'll have to see what happens next turn or next game. This one looks like it's going to be hard to bring back for Ashitaka because they don't have any Ember control. There's still a lot of speed left in Quickdraw's deck, but we'll see what happens. So Ashitaka comes out with Cold a Week, Cripping Oblivion, takes out Chelonia and Infighting, and Old Yerk to discard Protect the Weak and Poke. They are at check with 7 Ember. We can see that Quickdraw could go Star Alliance to take him off the check if they want. They do forge a second key. They're going with blue this time. We'll have to see what they do though. They may not have other Star Alliance cards. They might not care. They might just keep going for speed and try to get to that third key. They're going into Untamed, getting some benefit of the stunner, playing Deepwater Gruin to get a couple Ember, and stunning Lord Gogoltha with a stunner up to 4 Ember, potentially one more with a Mechabui. Hi. I do not know how to say your name, but BD. What format is this? This is Archon, or sorry, This is adaptive, best of 3 adaptive. So what that means is each player picks a deck. They play straight Archon the first game. Then they switch decks. They play reversal. So Ashitaka will play with Quickdraw's deck the second game. If it then wins, so the same deck wins both games, then the third game they bid chains. And chains means that they will draw one less card for every chain that they have up to 6, and 2 less cards every chain after 6. Usually it doesn't get much higher than that. It might in this, so chains after 12 you draw 3 less cards. And so that third game, the chains are supposed to equal out the decks and have a level playing field. And so part of the skill in adaptive is picking decks that are tricky to play, and also knowing how to bid the right amount for the better deck. Yep, that's the other thing with KAGI is every game players could bring a different deck. So I'll post some links in here to KAGI, just what they're all about, the pods, kind of the overview. It's a really good league. As I said before, While Fighting Walloon does a great job. Quickly catching up on the game, Ashitaka had a really good logos churn. Wild Wormhole, Redacted, Exhumed, a Helper Bot, ZYX Researcher on an Exhume. And Director, but Quickdraw goes untamed, gaining a lot more Ember with all tied up. Deepwater Gruen, Witch of the Dawn again, and they're in check. There's no way that Ashitaka can stop them. And so that's game. Good game. So, no way to really slow down the speed of this DT deck with Ashitaka's deck. So yeah, it's going to be interesting when they get to chains because it's unlikely. Although Ashitaka's deck, it has a crazy logo suite. If they get the right kind of cards early on, then Quick Draw might be able to do something with it. So we'll have to see how it goes. That's the fun of Keyforge. It always depends on the draw. Let me post a link to an overview with KAGI. It also has some really great links on how to pick a deck for adaptive from a variety of experts. So that's the overview of KAGI. What do you think is a tricky part in playing this deck? It's knowing how to get the best out of it. So, and part of it, like I said, is knowing that when you are outmatched or have certain deficiencies like the Ember control, it's knowing how to bid for the other deck and how many chains that's worth. Yeah, the Mecha Boy against the non-DT deck feels good. Yeah, no matter what, that non-DT deck has to take chains to prevent him from getting Ember every turn. So they both have really good starts here. Let's review what happened. Quick Draw starts with Redacted. That's a perfect turn 1 play. They already got 1 Ember on it from the second turn. It only needs 4 Ember on it, so 3 more Logos turns, which they'll easily get to get a free key. So that's a huge start for them. Ashitaka starts with Theory over Conjecture, archives the top 2 cards, plays Eddie to archive another card. So that's another strong turn as well. Quick Draw follows up with the Logos to Wild Wormhole to play Old Yurk. They discard Oath of Poverty and Smite. They probably don't want to be playing Sanctum anyway, so that's pretty nice. And plays the Professor Sutterkin. Potential speed there, while Ashitaka comes back with Mecha Boy, Data Forge, Novu Archaeologist, Bilge Warden, Raise the Tide, and Eddie does fight the Sutterkin. Quickdraw comes back with Misery Exploit to gain 1 from the damaged Eddie. Banish on Novu Archaeologist. Exhume for Professor Sutterkin. Has Old Yerk kill the Eddie and plays Exhume just for the bonus ember. So Quickdraw has had an amazing start of this game. Hey Dinobot, nice to see you. We are in the second match of a best of 3 adaptive, and Quickdraw's had an amazing start to the second game. His DT deck, he handily won the first game. Ashitaka's running it now. He did have a good start with Mecha Boy, but Quickdraw started with Redacted and a couple really good logos and dish turns. So, hey, thanks for the follow. See Will Courtney. Okay, let's see what Ashitaka's done. Biome Discovery. Look at the 2 decks and they discard Infighting. They play Stunner, attach it to Bilge Warden, play Cheetah, Static Collection Array. That could also be pretty critical. So your keys cost -1 while the tide is high and +1 while the tide is low. Another reason why Quickdraw might need to be using some chains to raise a tide. And they say they love Dark Tidings. We'll have to see how they use the chains here. It'll be probably a pretty good lesson in when to raise the tide or not for a non-DT deck. But they're coming back with a great logo churn. Redact is up to 2 Ember now, so 2 more logo churns and they got a free key. They play Cutthroat Research, ZYX, and archive the Cutthroat Research from the discard pile. That makes a lot of sense. They want to play logos. That's their pretty much only Ember control. What's up, Zodid? Nice to see you. Yeah, you're right. It's a game changer. And Ashitaka almost got that second key on the last game. So this is looking good for Quickdraw. So they follow up with Director of ZYX, Helperbot, Professor Sutterkin Reaps to draw 4 cards. They do change the tide to high. They play the Protect the Weak with the Helperbot. They didn't draw any other Logos cards with the draw 4. But now they have yeah, they got pretty unlucky on that draw 4 actually. But they are at check at 8. They did raise a tide, so they dropped a chain. They only drew 5 up to 5 this turn. And I don't think they even did that because they drew the 4 with a Professor. But they do have a nice Logos lineup here, which needs to be answered by Ashitaka. So Ashitaka's thinking, because Quickdraw raised a tide, they now have a key cost of 7. Thanks, Zoda, for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you got feedback on my stream, please message me on Discord. I'd love to hear it. I'm pretty new at it. Don't have the fanciest setup, but good to help out the community. And good to help a really good league. There's so many little leagues like this that do so much, so it's nice to have. Now we are going to get back to this amazing turn by Ashitaka. They start by raising the tide for 3 chains. Chelonia, Deepwater Guin, another Deepwater Guin. That's 6 Ember right there. Youngest Bear for another Ember. Mookling for another Ember. The Fittest for Ember and making everyone bigger, including preventing Quickdraw from forging. They were up to 15 Ember, so Quickdraw does actually get value out of that cutthroat research. They get to play Logos again. They're one turn away from getting a free key. They get to draw 4 again with Professor Sudakin. So it was a beautiful Untamed turn, but they're in trouble with potentially what Quickdraw can do here. So they play the cut through research, Steel Chew. They draw 4 with Professor Sudakin. They get out the Project ZYX. Now they got to get rid of the Mookling here. So I'm guessing the director will do that. They could potentially also fight it with both the ZYX and the Helper Bot. But they might as well also have a Helper Bot into something else. So we'll have to see. Yeah, they got the whole ZYX lineup on the board. Or they did. They do take out Mookling with Director. ZYX Researcher Reaps, Helperbot Reaps. They poke Chelonia. At this point, they already have enough Ember for 2 keys. They have the free key with Redacted. They are in the driver's spot. So Ashitaka really needs Valmart, or let's see what else they have. The Subversive Principle or the Two Eddies. Or they are going to be in trouble. Let's see. They already lost 1 Eddy and the Mooklings. So they probably really need the Valmart or the Submersive Principle here. Or things might spiral out of control for them. Now if they do have the Submersive Principle, that could be pretty huge for them. And they are 1 key away from forging again already. So it hurt them as well. It's still going to be an uphill battle. They're going to need a combination of multiple Ember control cards in the next couple turns because Quickdraw just has so much Ember and they have the free key coming. And they still have a nice Logos lineup here. 4 Logos cards with Sutterkin. This was a great draw. But that's the way Keyforge goes. It was a really beautiful Untamed turn last turn by Ashitaka as well. Let's see how he follows it up. He's got to respond to the Logos. He's got to respond to the Ember. And he does only have 5 in his hand because he had to raise a tide. We'll see how it goes. And Ashitaka's having a really big think about that. Makes a lot of sense. This is a critical turn. And going with Logos, reaping with Bilge Warden to both get the tide and stun Sutterkin. Ashitaka does have the Subversive Principle. That is huge. So Quickdraw's down to 8 Ember. They lose 7 Ember with that. Then they play Tide Warp. That's going to be interesting here. Nova Archaeologist to gain another Ember with Chelonia. Now they only have 6 Ember here. Quickdraw's going to raise a tide. They have to. But with the Tide Warp out, they'll get another Ember anyway with Mecha Buoy. So Ashitaka will get their second key. Now they played Data Forge, first or second turn. So they don't have a key cheat in waiting. But they really need to keep Quickdraw off this second key. Yeah, Tide Chains are huge in this matchup. It's really interesting. As I said before, Quickdraw bringing the DT tech probably knows really really when to raise the tide as a non-DD deck. Um, so, and it's always situational, right? So quick draw here is going disc, hold a week, takes out Chelonia. Life Orb, Creeping Ember, takes out Submersive Principal and Mookling. They taking out their Ember control. Exhume to bring back Director of ZYX and Old Yerk Reaps. They are at check with 7. Um, so Ashitaka needs to stop this key because otherwise, next turn, Quick Draw just goes into Logos, Redacted, automatically gets him a key, game over. So how are they going to respond? Um, what was interesting there, actually, was Quick Draw didn't raise the tide. They know that Tide Warp was going to change it anyway. So they did get the extra Ember from Mecha Boy, but because Tide Warp changes it, and the forging of the key happens after the start of the turn, they had to pay 7 for that key. So if they really kind of need Valmart or Eddie with other archiving to be able to stop this key, and to get value out of Eddie, they have to raise the tide, or Valmart, they have to raise the tide. It's not looking too good here. Tide Warp is very tricky since it happens at the start of the play. You kind of always get value out of your Mecha Boy because you can decide which happens first. But a lot of times, if you don't want the other player to gain Ember on your Mecha Boy, you might have to raise the tide as well. So it gets pretty tricky. Um, yeah, the benefit is like, oh, it's better early on if you have the Mecha Boy and the Tide Warp already out because more or less you get more value out of the Mecha Boy. But late game, it is a little tricky because you have the potential of having to raise the tide um, if you don't want to give them extra Ember. And late game like this, you don't want to be doing that because they are on the verge of winning. So let's see what other Ember control Ashitaka might have with Quick Draw's deck. They already use a Submersive Principle. They've used one Eddie. They have the Volmart potentially somewhere in their deck, I believe. I'll have to see. I forget if they use the Xeno training or not. Don't think so. So that might be a play as well. And then, do they have another way to archive that they haven't used? Hydro Cataloger potentially. But they go Starlines here. So let's see if they do have Volmart. And they'll have to raise the tide to get value if they do. Here comes out Technobabble. They stun Helperbot, Director, and ZYX Researcher. They want to make sure their next Logos turn they get as little as possible. They do have the Xeno training. Yeah, you're right. They did have Novu on the board. Thanks. I missed that. So that if they get Eddie next turn, that could be a factor. But instead, they are delaying. They do the Technobabble, the Xeno training, and they reap with Cheetah. They do stop Quick Draw from their second key, which was critical. And they didn't raise the tide, so Quick Draw did get an extra Ember there. Okay, so Quick Draw also has a Life Ward. That's going to stop both the Eddie and the Volmart. I think think it's looking bad. I think it's looking bad for Ashitaka. Because all they need to do is gain 1 Ember, Life Ward, and I don't think there's a way they can stop them. Can't play the Eddy, they can't play the Volmart. Mooklin's already gone, Xenotrain's gone, Principal's gone. So with the Life Ward, I think Quickdraw has it. But we'll see what they do. This is game 2. Not tonight. Thanks for watching. Game 1 had Quickdraw get out to a quick start with their DT deck. Because Ashitaka's AoA deck has almost no Ember control, they kind of cruise to the victory. But this game, with the AoA deck, Quickdraw got a turn 1 redacted and followed up with a couple good Logos and Dish turns, and they've been in the driver's seat. And it's come down here at the end to be pretty tight, but that redacted is going to be critical. Quickdraw's thinking really long and hard about what the right play is here. They go Logos. They get their second key for free. Unstun their 4 stun Logos. Let's see what Project does. They use a Life Ward. Ashitaka cannot play creatures next turn. Project fights Noble Archaeologist. They play Hysteria, and then here's going to come yeah, they use to protect the weak with the Project GYX trigger, and then they wild wormhole into Hysteria. That is brutal with that Life Ward, and being able to play all their Logos cards again. They are at check with 11 Ember. That is game. Ashitaka was actually 1 Ember away here from forging. They go into Untame, all tied up, raise a tide, gain an Ember, plays Thin the Herd, gets rid of a bunch of those Logos creatures. Discards Deepwater Gruin, and the second one, and the Youngest Bear, and the Flumph. And that's game. Congratulations to Quickdraw winning the KAGI League. That is Keyforge. What a draw. And way to get the most out of that logo suite. Ashitaka says, did not have a good draw on the first one, sadly. Yeah, he could have probably didn't get the Logos cards that he needed at the start. Quickdraw says, I don't think I needed to hit the Hysteria there to win, but that was crazy lucky. Yeah, that was lucky. I think he hit it with the Life Ward anyway, but good game. That was exciting. That is a good adaptive matchup. It does make it, like you guys are saying, very interesting with the extra trains from DT, especially with the Mecha Boy out, the static collection array, the Tide Warp. It gets crazy pretty quickly. You factor that into then, if you have to then go to bid to chains in the third game, there's a lot to keep in mind for bidding for chains. That's one reason why DT makes, if you know the decks in and out and how much kind of chains those are worth, why it makes them good adaptive decks. In this case, it didn't matter, but very interesting. Thanks, JT. Yeah, great games, great players. Ashitaka also agreed, didn't need the crazy Hysteria there because they had the Life Ward. Eddie and Walmart were the only things I could stop. Quickdraw, that's correct. So excited to get dealt with Redacted and Surican at the start. Yeah, that was pretty lucky early on. Yeah, thanks JT for mentioning that I do stream. So I had the opportunity for streaming this. It's a great league. I'll post a link again to kind of what they're all about, and also they organize kind of everything on the Sanctimonious Timeshapers Discord. You guys are all on it already, but here's a link to that channel. Hashtag KAGI. Keyforge as Garfield intended. Archon Adaptive Best of 3. I'm not sure what the details of when they're starting the fourth season, but I'm guessing it'll come pretty soon. Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see how bidding played out. Quickdraw says, I felt it was appropriate that your deck's name was Boss for the final match. Yeah, that's a pretty great name for a final match. Boss are Ericstata. And Guadalupe, the periodically spiky. It was definitely spiky that first game. Yep. Thanks, Oda. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for the follows. I do stream randomly games that I'm in for certain leagues, either a Swindle Team event or Agent Bear Republic leagues. Coat back in the day, but it's the first time actually that I did commentary on another game. So please send me feedback on Discord. Love to hear it. And thanks for watching. We'll keep following their discussion for a little bit just because it's interesting to see what the players think of their game. As I mentioned before, the French stream, they're also streaming. They have a much cooler setup than I do. They do a great job of supporting players there. There's a link to the Association of French Keyforge uh, and their Twitch stream. Ashitaka actually thinks Boss is a little better than the DT deck. It would have. Now I want to see this game like best of 15 and see how much each of them do. To me it seemed like Boss was a little bit more dependent on the draw, whereas because it's got more Ember control, Guadalupe could have variable draws and still do better over time. He also says, and also for the second key, I count to forge to 5 and not 7. My bad there. Yep, that's a factor with Tide Warp out and the Steam Collection array. That can hurt you. I had a under 60 sats deck that I was using for Coat with 2 or 3 Mecha Boys and a Tide Warp and Static Collection array, and sometimes you want to discard that Static Collection array. They can make you forge for 7 every time. And that's another tricky card probably that's perfect for adaptive because you know when to play it, you know when to not. And they're talking about when it's okay to play, what to do when you play it. The opponent doesn't want to raise the tide if they have that out to make you forge for 7. They're going to get the tide anyway with the Tide Warp. And then that forces them, if they have cards that need the tide, then they have to raise it with chains or use a card to raise it. Huge thank you to Fighting Walloon. He couldn't make it to watch, but he's going to watch a stream. Maybe he watches both streams. Not sure. All right. I think that's about it. We will cue up some music. And I think that's it for the stream. Thanks for watching. Great matchup. Check out KAGI again with those links that I sent. And yeah, thanks for the follows. Hopefully, I'll see you again. Have a good night. Have a good day.